There's times I admit that I do want to give up because of the pain, only when I'm in so much pain, because your body is telling you different things. Your body is putting your mind somewhere else is what it's doing. It's hard to explain until you're there yourself. It puts you in a different world, you know.
You can't look at me and say, oh, she's got several bulging discs in her back and in her neck, or she's got spastic colon and endometriosis. All of those things are invisible, and unless I choose to show that I'm in pain, I usually choose to show I'm not in pain. I don't want anyone pointing their finger at me saying, what's wrong with her? I want to live my life as normally as I can.
But you gotta tell yourself not to give up. You gotta keep fighting it, you know.
This program presents the stories of two women with chronic pain. We'll learn about the day-to-day difficulties they experience, and we'll learn how they cope with their situation. If you or someone you know is suffering from chronic pain and don't know where to turn for help, there are organizations you can contact. We'll provide names, addresses, and websites at the end of this program. But what is chronic pain? Dr. Mark Schlimgen, MD, is a pain management specialist at the Pain Clinic of Northwestern Wisconsin.
Any pain that lasts longer than you would expect for a particular condition, and usually that's more than a month or two.
According to the American Chronic Pain Association, 86 million Americans suffer from chronic pain. Causes can include osteoporosis, migraines, arthritis, and structural damage to the body. Chronic pain often lasts a lifetime and cannot be cured. Dr. Michael Fitzgerald, MD, is a pain management specialist in the Department of Family Practice at the Luther Middlefort Clinic in Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
One of the goals in terms of management of pain, it's not so much complete relief of pain. I mean, that'd be ideal, but more making the pain level less so that people can function better, and that's what you aim for. A lot of times, if you set your standard as complete relief of pain, you either never get there and everybody's disappointed, or people can become non-functional just because of what it might take to get there.
Thorpe, Wisconsin is home to Tammy Habegger, who spends most of her time with her family or making crafts. She is currently working on starting a business where she can sell items she makes on the internet. Tammy faces serious lifestyle changes because of hernias in her abdominal wall. Several loops of Tammy's bowel, as well as a portion of her bladder, often pop out through the hernia hole, and she has to push them back in. Surgery to repair the hernias would be risky and extensive. Tammy's mother, Susan Colpine, has been a faithful advocate on behalf of her daughter.
One day she was riding with me in the car, and she just bent over to tie her shoelace, and she went into excruciating pain. She turned white. She fell back into the seat, and she held her breath, and she held her side until she got it pushed back in, and the pain let up some. But it did her in, for several hours after that. She wasn't feeling good from the pain. So I know it's there. It's just a matter of how to get people to do something for her.
Chronic pain is often undertreated for a variety of reasons. Some physicians fear being disciplined by the Drug Enforcement Agency for overprescribing narcotics, also called opiate drugs. Some physicians fear that patients will become addicted to narcotic pain medications. Some physicians are ill-informed about addiction in pain patients and refuse to treat pain under the belief that the patient is merely a drug addict seeking narcotics. Vicki Olson lives in Augusta, Wisconsin.
Person with chronic pain drinking orange juice, yay.
She travels to nearby Osseo, where she owns an antique store.
What, is that glass got a name?
Yes, this is Royal Ruby.
Royal Ruby.
That's Royal Ruby. That was from the 40s.
Months before production of this program, Vicki had fallen down a flight of stairs, leaving her with breakthrough pain.
Breakthrough pain is an increase or an exacerbation in a patient's chronic pain state, or can be secondary pain.
Vicki's pain physician at the time allowed only 1 shot a month for chronic pain and refused to treat breakthrough pain, which she did not believe existed.
And she saw it as drug seeking, and it was, no, we're taking you off everything, that's it. And it was so traumatic and unfair. This was in September. Oh, you can go and have a second opinion in Marshfield. They couldn't get me in until January. And I would have been basically non-functional because they weren't even going to give me anything, not even Tylenol number 3. I want to live my life as normally as I can. In order to live my life as normally as I can, in order to function on a day-to-day level, my pain has to be controlled. Without that control, I would be passing out 6 to 8 times a day, probably vomiting every day, not being able to sleep. The lack of sleep would cause my fibromyalgia to become acute. I would end up being bedridden. I wouldn't be able to function mentally enough to do the bookwork for my store. Even if I could find someone to do the physical work in my store, I'd probably lose my business. Everything that I worked so hard for.
Tammy has been refused pain pills time and time again, and I can understand that. We don't want her to become addicted to the drug either. We don't want her to have that complication along with the pain. And so we haven't pushed it. We haven't gone to a pain management center or anything. We haven't really pushed it.
The current literature does not support that as being a huge problem in terms of people developing addictive problems in relation to being treated for pain complaints. It's and addiction involves a lot more than just medication.
People that have chronic pain tend to really have a low addiction potential for narcotics when used in proper doses. It's a very appropriate treatment for people with chronic pain. Narcotics is a standard therapy for us.
The person's pain is often caused by numerous verifiable health problems.
I have 2 bulging discs in my neck that are a disc apart, and then in between those 2 bulging discs that are on the right side, on the left side, I have a big bone spur. So that not only do I have the lower back pain and pain that shoots down my right leg, and electrical tingling and numbness problems with my right leg, I have problems where my arms will go numb, that I get pain in my shoulders and arms and hands. And that's from the neck part. I've had cysts that grew in my abdomen that would start to burst and bleed into my abdomen, some of which were as big as grapefruits.
She had the bladder augmentation, which was a major surgery, and 6 months later she ended up in the hospital with bowel obstruction, didn't know what was wrong. They did emergency surgery to see what was causing the obstruction and found multiple adhesions.
According to the International Adhesion Society, adhesions are bands of scar tissue that form after surgery.
I seen a little part of the movie of it. They kind of look like a spider web to me inside because they're all white inside.
They bind organs together and to other structures within the body, causing great pain. Adhesions can also cause other health problems such as bowel obstructions.
One doctor told me that if you took all of his patients that he had operated on and put their adhesions in my belly, that I would have more. So I have a lot of scar tissue and adhesions in my abdomen.
Well, then a year later, she also developed hernias from having the bladder augmentation and the adhesion surgeries. So the doctor went to fix what we thought was just a couple of small hernias. Turned out she was in surgery for 5 hours, again having adhesiolysis, which was taking down multiple, even more adhesions than she had had the first time.
Surgery to remove adhesions often results in the formation of new adhesions, making effective treatment difficult.
10 months later, she was back in there again with a bowel obstruction and needed surgery again, and multiple adhesions from top to bottom.
I know that this last operation, they said that part of my bowel was fixed by adhesions up against the inside of the back of my abdomen, up against my spine.
She ended up with huge hernias, which she's suffering with now, plus adhesions. We figure the adhesions are back because they always come back, and so now she's ending up with multiple huge hernias that have to be repaired, plus adhesions that need to be taken care of, and it's been going back and forth from doctors not knowing which way to go first.
And I need a doctor that would help with the adhesions so they can do the adhesion and the hernias together. Because I always, I'd be right back where I started from. And my stomach's getting so big now, they don't know how long the hernia is going to hold up. Because they couldn't bust inside yet, the poison part can't. And, it'll get all poison inside and you could die from it if they get too big. And the doctors that see me, they said they can't believe how big they're getting, So they're really amazed that it got this big. So.
Despite the fact that the causes of chronic pain are often verifiable today, many doctors do not believe the patient is experiencing pain.
I get really upset when they say, it's probably all in your mind. And doctors weren't believing that she was having this pain. But I knew because when she had her C-sections, when she had her babies 16 and 14 years ago, she was having chronic pain then on her one side, and when they did the second baby, did a C-section, they said, oh, she's got all this scar tissue in there, that's why she was having this pain. So up to that point, they didn't believe she was having pain.
I had dislocated an ankle, and I had a lump on the back of my ankle about the size of, like half of a ping pong ball, and I kept telling my doctor, this hurts, this is really sore. Oh, it's just part of your chronic pain, it'll go away. 6 years, I told him how bad it hurt. Just part of your chronic pain, don't worry about it. The tendon, I finally got to a specialist. The tendon had been inflamed for so long that part of it had died and turned to mush. And I was in danger. Had I sprained it or something like that, I could have torn it in half.
I don't know, there's a lot of people with your situation, and so, hopefully they'll just keep coming up with better treatments. Yeah. So it's common. Common thing, unfortunately.
The experience of working with doctors who often do not understand chronic pain or the effects of pain medications leaves patients feeling helpless, frustrated, and angry.
And trying to throw tranquilizers or whatever, antidepressants I guess is the word for it, at you to solve your problems. That upsets me. That upsets me. Oh, there are times when I'm sure that is necessary, but I think there are also times to check a person out, check them out internally to make sure that that's what the problem is.
I swear some of the doctors that I have been working with over the years should have been working with nuts and bolts instead of people. It constantly amazes me why some people chose to be doctors when they absolutely have no compassion whatsoever. And it's just obvious that they don't care one whit about their patients' well-being.
I think if they don't know the answer, refer them on. refer us on to someone else. And if we ask to be referred on to someone else that we feel can do better for us, please refer us on. Some doctors do, and some won't.
You know, I try to give people the benefit of doubt as much as possible. As long as people are real open with me, I try to be the same.
Many pain patients have to travel great distances to find doctors with the knowledge and willingness to treat them. Vicki must travel to Chicago to receive treatment for pain.
It's too bad. We have pain specialists in Eau Claire, but one of the head doctors there doesn't believe that breakthrough pain exists. And with one of my main problems being breakthrough pain and requiring the shots in the ER, my relationship with that doctor was doomed from the start. It's hard to find a local doctor that's, even if they're willing to work with a patient who has chronic pain, it's hard to find a local doctor who's willing to work with a pain specialist as far away as Chicago.
We had done a fundraiser to raise money to take her out to New York. We had heard about an adhesion clinic center that had opened out there by 2 doctors.
The chronic nature of these conditions and the difficulty in finding ready help from the medical profession leads many pain patients to become experts in their condition. Necessity has forced them to take charge of their health care.
We've found out that you really do have to be responsible for your own health, your own medical care. Doctors are busy.
We've done the Dr. God thing. You know, that was in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. You didn't question your doctor. They were God. Nowadays, we're taught that we have to be our own advocates, that we have to be our own doctors. We've got to do our own research and our own studying. And if we don't care much about what's wrong with us or how to take care of ourselves. And I've learned from experience that these people are people. And they're good people and bad people, good nurses and bad nurses, and good doctors and bad doctors. And we have got to be on guard in order to ascertain for ourselves who we're dealing with.
But things are looking up for Vicki. After years of difficult searching, she at last found one of the good doctors.
I was so afraid of losing another doctor. And all through these last years, everything that I've done has been, don't make waves, you might lose another doctor and have to go find another one. Mm-hmm. And so, I just, every time it tore at my stomach or something like that, I just didn't say anything.
Yeah, that's not.
But when I met you, you were a dream come true. In as far as finally finding a doctor here. And I guess I feel I can be more open and not have to worry so much.
Yeah, I'm not right. I appreciate that.
It just sort of took me a while to get my trust back.
Yep, understandably.
Yeah, the last year has been really, really great since I've been with Dr. Fitzgerald. Dr. Fitzgerald actually surpassed my ideas as to how a doctor should react when you have additional pain. And I sure hope he stays in Eau Claire for 50 years so I never have to go through the hell of finding another doctor.
Tammy gains support from a wide network of friends on the internet, in addition to friends and family in her community.
She's been very brave. She's really struggled through this, and she's really been strong through it. And she's a people person. She loves people, and so the more people she can have around her, the better off she is. And she is a people person to the point where she is very concerned about everyone else. She's always thinking of the other person, what they need, what makes them happy. She just loves people. And so that's basically what's keeping her going at this point.
Everybody was there for me, and I appreciate it because a lot of families ain't getting that help like I got. I get a wonderful family and friends, and they're really amazing.
Susan takes an active role in her daughter's health care, perhaps to the chagrin of some health professionals.
And then I think sometimes they wonder, why are you sticking your nose? And, Tammy's capable of taking care of herself, but, I think it takes both of us to fight this battle.
Watching a family member suffer chronic pain can be a difficult experience.
It's hard. I've had a lot of breakdowns.
My kids are learning to deal with it now. They're getting better. The youngest one, I think, is kind of hard for him just yet, but he's getting better too. To see their mom in pain, it's got to be hard for them, especially teenagers. And you try to hide it on them, but they know,
I keep telling myself I'm more than halfway through.
For Vicki, Susan, and Tammy, the battle is often bleak, but giving up is not an option.
But you got to tell yourself not to give up. You got to keep fighting it, You got your kids and your family to think about, and,
We have been relying on God all the way through this.
Watch over God. We love you, God. We got kind of a storm coming up now, God, and people are coming from quite a ways to this party. Thanks, God. Thanks for the food. Amen.
Amen.
So many times when you have medical problems, there's so much in your life that's negative. So you've got to concentrate on what's positive in your life.
Tammy is looking forward to surgery in New York that might help her condition. But she recognizes that it's a dangerous procedure.
Because they say it's a 50 chance I might not make it, You just don't want to give up.
If I hadn't chosen to have the store, if I had just chosen to, be disabled and live off my check and just not have anything to do, I don't think I'd be here today. It's an easy way to allow yourself to become depressed. You've got to constantly strive to do better, to do more, and to invent things that you can do. You've got to concentrate on what you can do, not on what you can't. And once you find out what you can do, you can find more. It's just that way. You've got to look at the milk pitcher as if it's half full, not half empty. Because if you look at it half empty, it keeps it getting emptier. If you look at it half full, it keeps getting fuller. Can't help it.
If you or someone you know is suffering from chronic pain and don't know where to turn for help, you can contact the following for information.